My name's Pete Randall. I'm one of the lead reps from Coventry City Council, HGV driver dispute. Before our dispute came into fruition, we had a tough ride. We were working through that pandemic as key workers. Our employer didn't value us the way that they should have. We were their best friends, let's say, during the pandemic, and valued. But after the pandemic, that value seemed to disappear, and they wanted to treat us like they treated us previously. Once the pandemic was easing, we went in for our pay claim, and rightly so. Like we've mentioned, we worked through the pandemic. We were being valued and clapped through pandemic. Clapping and supporting us through the pandemic doesn't pay our bills after the pandemic. We needed a pay rise that was fair for all of our members at Coventry City Council. What we continued to do was fight for fair pay and justice for the members in the workplace. We believed that the market of HGV drivers, certainly in our neighbouring cities like Dudley and Birmingham, they were earning £4,000 roughly more than what we were in Coventry. We didn't see that as being acceptable, but we decided that we were going to stick together and fight for the rate for the job. So 1 minute we were key workers. So if we're key workers at 1 minute, why are we not key workers the whole time? And why are we not noticed that through pay? The fact that myself and our members at Coventry City Council had seen inflation busting pay rises within the industry, it gave myself and our members on that picket line more confidence and better morale to continue our fight for equal pay. We'd never been out on strike, a lot of us. Some of us certainly not since a decade ago in 2010, where we was out for the pension strike nationally. Coventry City Council had never been beaten before during a strike action. So we took full confidence in the inflation busting pay rises from across the country, and we knew that if we stood firm, we would win. We didn't want to go out on strike. Obviously, December and January, coldest periods of the year. But we knew that once the employer wasn't engaging in sensible negotiations, we couldn't afford not to strike. On the very first day of our strike action, it was quite a strange feeling, an excitement feeling that we had that we was meaning business, we were there, but also a nervous sort of feeling. Certainly the pressures of senior reps questioning ourselves at times, but one thing that we made sure of is that we had the morale of the picket line and the way in which we had united together on that picket line. Once we'd called the bluff of our employer, it was obvious of what their response were. They knew that we were there to take them on. What they decided to do was carry out the suspension of myself to try and bring a weakness to the members on the picket line and try and cripple the strike by getting our members to go back to work. So the tactics that were used by Coventry City Council, they brought in a arm length company, Tom White's. They used agency drivers to push on trying to break the strike. They were delivering drivers through the agency at £26 an hour. Our workers were earning 14, some as little as 11.29 an hour. That angered the picket and also gave more fight during the strike. But what this also cost in the long run, as well as the security staff that they brought in to try and intimidate the picket, was around £6 million. Again, that £6 million is of Coventry taxpayers' money. We didn't think it was acceptable, and the residents of Coventry, I'm sure, would not think it was acceptable either. It'd have been a hell of a lot cheaper to settle the strike instead of trying to break the strike. The reason I was singled out and victimised by the employer is they see me as a leader on that picket line, and they thought by taking out one of the leaders of the strike it would fold the picket and the picket would return to work. That had the opposite effect. What it done is add petrol to already a raging fire. Personally, for myself and my family, it was quite difficult, but I'd made my decision that I was striking. I wasn't going back to work no matter what, and so was the members. They stood firm with me, and so did the union in the support that they delivered towards us. What they need to realise is Coventry City Council, that is, if they come for one, they come for all. What employers need to be aware of, that if they take out a lead rep, they don't take out the strike. They've got the movement behind them. So the support from the union, once I'd been victimised and suspended, was phenomenal. They put an arm around me and a shield in front of me to protect me. The General Secretary rang me up at 5:05 the following morning to reassure me that everything was going to be okay. I wasn't alone, and that no matter what, we weren't going back to work until I was involved in that. So as we were going through our campaign and as things started escalating, you could see of what trouble the employer was getting themselves involved in. It became apparent that the union was adding pressure to the employer, and it was never ever going to look good for them. When we had our rally in Broadgate in Coventry, it became more real in what this war the employer was getting involved in with the union. Sharon Graham made it evident that that was war by suspending up to 24 councillors, and rightly so. When Sharon Graham came down to the rally in Broadgate, Coventry, where we marched in front of a couple of hundred people, it felt quite an emotional feeling of proudness in that we was doing the right thing, and that certainly we had the support within the union. When Sharon Graham announced that she's suspending 24 Unite councillors of the Labour Council in Coventry, that shown that we meant business. Our picket line was out for 7 months. During that 7 months we was out from -8 degrees up until 40 degrees. It was hard bearing on the strikers, but as well as their families back at home. We sensed that we was beginning to win. The employer had removed the security guards that was there with the pepper spray and handcuffs. They were no longer there. Trucks slowly started coming back to our depot, so we knew that something was going on, whereas before trucks were being kept in another depot. The pressure that we as a trade union was putting on to the employer, it was evident that it was working. They was backing off and wanting to start to talk. There was a deal to be done between Coventry City Council and Unite the Union. That deal wasn't going to be done until the reinstatement of myself, something in which Sharon guaranteed me on the second day of my suspension. With the members refusing to sign the deal until I'd been reinstated was quite an emotional thing, and it shows that you get the respect of your working colleagues, but understand full solidarity from your membership, and it's something that I've always thrived off, having the support of my members, but once we were on that picket line, and that was clearly shown by them not returning to work until I was reinstated, was something else. It's solidarity on a whole new level. You can bring solidarity financially, and I said it outside the council house that day. You can speak a solidarity and you can hear a solidarity. It's not until you physically feel it, completely different altogether. So on the day of my investigation at Friargate, it'd give the employer an opportunity to see what support I had. We had people come from across the country, we had the picket line present, and also a local dispute that was close to us that originated through the Combine, Rugby Council. They all come to support me at Friargate for the investigation. Once the investigation had come to its close, I was actually reinstated with no charges held against me. The deal then became a closed dispute on the basis that our members were happy to return to work on the agreed settlement of 12.9% and also the reinstatement of myself. We met at our final meeting to close the dispute on acceptance of offer and the reinstatement. It felt absolutely phenomenal, the way in which we agreed and had won our dispute. We started this together and we certainly ended it together. By beating an employer of which had never been beaten before, it sets a precedent. It should set a precedent and give confidence to every Unite member out there that's taking strike action. Stand firm, strike hard. Looking back over the past 7 months, the support in which has been coming in far and wide, certainly from national office of our union, it's been incredible, and the support that's been delivered, thank you.